Mark chapter 9, verses 25 to 29. When Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. "You deaf and mute spirit," he said, "I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." The spirit shrieked and convulsed him violently and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. After Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" He replied, "This kind can come out only by prayer." Jesus saw that more people were rushing to the site. If he had waited a bit longer, even more people would have witnessed the miracle. But he chose to go ahead. His care for the boy was greater than his concern for the efficiency of his work. Immediately he commanded the impure spirit to come out and never enter him again. The devil violently attacked the boy one last time before surrendering his host. Many bystanders thought the boy was dead. To their surprise, however, Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet. For the boy, this was like death and resurrection. Having a devil within him was not that different from being dead. Now he was experiencing the gift of new life. Once again, the disciples were alone with Jesus, away from the crowd. This time spent with their master after their miserable failure would not have been comfortable. And they would have been totally discouraged and waited for his rebuke. And they could have said they were quitting and gone back home. So what did they do? They wanted to know why they had not been successful. They asked, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" This kind of attitude is admirable. They had failed, but they had regained their courage and confidence. They were resilient and wanted to learn how to avoid another failure. Jesus answered, "Casting this kind of spirit out requires prayer." The disciples may have wondered, "Prayer? That's it?" Don't think the disciples prayed? I'm sure they did. No doubt their prayer became quite fervent as they realized that the demon was not being driven out. So why did Jesus say that only prayer could accomplish the miracle? Could the prayer that Jesus was speaking about, the prayer that the disciples offered, be different? They had spent the previous night with bitterness and grumbling, and consequently did not have time to spend with God before they began working. The disciples performed the act of prayer, but they were not connected to God. So they had a form of prayer, but they were not depending on God's power. Would the result have been different if they had spent some time with God before they tried to drive out the unclean spirit? Most certainly, yes. That's why we have to put things in the right order. Do what is important before doing what is urgent. What is our prayer like? Do we pray the type of prayer that Jesus mentioned, or the one that disciples prayed?